In the hushed gloom of ancient times, a goddess was born to the cosmic union of Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky. Her name was Isis, and from the moment she opened her celestial eyes, a mystery seemed to hover around her like a shroud. To watch her grow was to witness a creature of grace and wisdom, yet something flickered within her beyond benevolence. She possessed a determination that bordered on obsession, a hunger for a secret power hidden deep within the realms of creation. Her earliest days carried whispers of the formidable magic she would soon wield. Though revered by her siblings and the mortal devotees who built temples in her honor, Isis sensed she was destined for more than mere admiration. She would linger in the sacred libraries, poring over ancient scrolls by oil lamp glow, absorbing knowledge that stretched beyond safe boundaries. Rumors say she prayed not only to the gods but to older forces, those rarely named. As she grew, so did her mastery of incantations. A subtle darkness took root in her heart, fed by the idea that love alone could not safeguard her place in the cosmic order. She craved something stronger indeed. Her destiny intertwined with Osiris, her brother and consort, whom she admired for his just rulership over the living. Together, they dreamed of a unified Egypt, a kingdom that glowed with prosperity. The people hailed them as the embodiment of harmony, but rarely did they witness the intense quiet that would sometimes overtake Isis. Late at night, she would gaze upon Osiris, analyzing his regal bearing and the adoration he received. A fleeting thought would pass through her mind. Could her magic surpass even his influence? She banished such musings for a time, yet they always returned, darker and stronger. When Set, the embodiment of chaos, murdered Osiris, everything changed. Isis' heartbreak became a tempest, swirling with rage and sorrow. She traveled from one end of Egypt to the other, guided by desperate prayers, seeking the scattered remains of her beloved. Legends say that in her grief, the land itself trembled, though her devotion seemed pure. There were moments when her eyes shone with an unnatural gleam. Perhaps it was the realization that if she could restore Osiris to life, she might open the door to powers even the gods deemed off-limits indeed, forever. In the hush of a swamp, she pieced Osiris back together. With each fragment, she chanted incantations laced with arcane energies that crackled like lightning in the still air. Unnatural forms danced in the shadows, drawn by her conjuring. At last, she replaced the missing part of his body with a crafted talisman of gold, forging a connection between this world and the beyond. In that moment, Isis crossed a boundary she could never return from. The spark of life she ignited in Osiris also awakened something dormant in her, a realization of just how far her magic could stretch. Though Osiris now reigned over the underworld, Isis found herself consumed by fresh ambitions. She had tamed the boundary between life and death, but her thirst remained unquenched. Word reached her of Ra's concealed name, a phrase said to govern the turning of stars and the flooding of the Nile. If she could seize that name, perhaps she could manipulate even the celestial order. The more she contemplated it, the more she felt a dark yearning coil around her heart. This was no longer just about resurrecting a loved one. It was about transcending any chain that dared to bind her. She fashioned a serpent from Ra's spittle, a living venom that slithered upon the path he walked daily. When Ra took his next step, the snake bit him with fangs soaked in supernatural poison. Agony sliced through his veins, and the almighty sun god faltered, unable to rid himself of the insidious toxin. The pantheon trembled, for if Ra fell, all order would collapse. Only Isis possessed the remedy, which she offered under one merciless condition. Ra must surrender his true name. Desperate for relief, he complied, and in that moment, Isis gained dominion over a secret older than time. After extracting the name from Ra's trembling lips, Isis felt an electrifying surge that resonated through her very soul. She stood triumphant, no longer merely a goddess of fertility or mourning, but a cosmic puppeteer. Whispers spread among gods and mortals alike. Isis had broken the sacred balance. Some called her a savior for dethroning arrogance. Others labeled her a threat to existence itself. Yet she felt no remorse. She had discovered that power was neither good nor evil. It was simply a tool, shaped by the hands that grasped it. And her hands, now, were unflinching, steadier than ever before. In the aftermath, she returned to Horus, her son by Osiris, guiding him to claim Egypt's throne. With Ra's authority subdued, she maneuvered the pantheon's political currents like a seasoned tactician. Some gods resisted, unsettled by her fearless intrusion into domains once considered sacrosanct. Still, Isis prevailed, weaving alliances and commanding respect. Her presence evoked awe laced with dread, a living reminder that devotion and tyranny can share the same face. Mortals prayed for her favor, yet their prayers often carried a tremor of fear. After all, who could predict how the mistress of forbidden magic might respond? As Horus grew into his power, Isis often stood behind him like a shadow. She facilitated alliances, orchestrated treaties, and neutralized threats. Still, she watched her son ascend with a mixture of pride and guarded curiosity. Could he, too, challenge her if he ever uncovered the extent of her secrets? Doubt weighed on her heart, for she had tasted the corruption that comes with unimaginable might. At times, she questioned whether she had turned into something she once feared. Yet that doubt never halted her ambitions. Even after securing Horus's ring, she continued to probe the mysteries of creation tirelessly. In time, mortals came to know Isis as a goddess of many faces, the giver of fertility, the grieving widow, the avenger of wrongs, the all-powerful sorceress. Tales of her mercies spread like wildfire, overshadowing the darker rumors whispered in hidden corners. But those who studied the old scrolls claimed she manipulated the boundary between God and mortal, life and death. They pointed to her theft of Ra's secrets, her triumph over cosmic laws, and her unwavering determination to bend every force to her will. Behind every gentle depiction, they saw the silhouette of a cunning ruler cloaked in compassion. As centuries passed, conquerors rose and fell, and Isis worship spread far beyond Egypt's deserts. In Greece and Rome, her shrines attracted pilgrims seeking healing and hope. Yet beneath this reverence, an undercurrent of secrecy persisted. Her priesthood maintained rituals that invoked the same dangerous magic once used to trick Ra. Some whispered that, in dark chambers, the goddess still demanded offerings of willpower rather than mere devotion. Those who approached her altars found themselves torn between awe and terror, uncertain whether they stood before a loving mother or an all-consuming force that completely devoured even the mightiest of gods. In the twilight of the ancient world, new religions emerged, and temples of Isis were repurposed or destroyed. Yet even as her cult waned, her legend refused to die. Some believed she lived on encoded scriptures, her name replaced with new figures, her story adapted to fit shifting doctrines. In hidden corners of history, her memory endured among mystics who claimed to sense her presence in the hush before dawn. They whispered that Isis had transcended physical temples, existing wherever secrets lay buried. Though unconfirmed, these stories suggested that the goddess of sorcery still had not relinquished her hold. So, who was Isis in the end? Was she the kind-hearted healer whose tears could revive the dead, or the merciless enchantress who bent Ra's authority to her will? Perhaps both. Her life, woven through love, obsession, triumph, and betrayal, stands as a testament to the duality of power. She nurtured a kingdom, yet stole a god's secret name. She resurrected her husband, yet ushered him into the underworld. And she offered humanity solace while keeping them forever in awe of the forces she had mastered. To truly know Isis, one must accept that creation and destruction share a cradle. Thank you for walking with us through the shadows of Isis's true nature. Her story, steeped in ancient devotion and darker ambitions, reveals the precarious edge where worship meets dread. As you reflect on the trials she endured and the line she dared to cross, ask yourself, if gifted with similar powers, would you resist the allure of going too far? The Egyptians gave her offerings, but she claimed something far more potent, the knowledge that the gods themselves could be undone. In unveiling her hidden chapters, we remember that myths are seldom gentle. They echo with truths we fear to confront.